Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to convert a set of requirements into C# code. Usually I see students struggling to connect the dots and write a cohesive program. So I just want to make sure that I show you from instructions how to convert that into code. So here's a sample lab. You can see on the top I have here some tips on what you need to remember, best coding practices, right? And also the language syntax. So let's ignore that part. This could be used as a reference piece for you. So all of this here is for reference. So if you are confused and you don't know or you want a refresher, you can look at that. I'm going to minimize that. So let us look at the goal of this program. The goal of the program is to uh, write a program to calculate the price of an item after discount. So you go to a store, you buy a shirt, and there is a 10% discount on it, right? How do you calculate the final price? The idea you have to remember is that a program should be able to take any data and calculate and apply the logic. You should not be putting actual, you know, cost of a specific item inside your code. So that is where the program takes input, does a logic, and then gives an output. So remember, your program should not just run for a specific shirt that costs you $11.99. It should work for any item. That is the whole idea. So reusability is the most important thing. Now let's see. The instruction says create a new project in JDoodle using a sample project, then delete all the content inside main. Okay, so what this means is that we go into JDoodle. So let us do that. So here's my dashboard. I'm going into this corner here on the right corner. I'm clicking on create a project. I want to provide C# as the code language. You don't want to like let JDoodle give you a name because it makes no sense. So let us say discount calculator and then make it as multi-file, because after the midterm you are going to be using multi-file. People forget that and then they suffer. So always go with multi-file and then make sure you start with an example, so there is some scaffolding code for you to begin, and then click on start coding. So here is your sample program. You don't want any of this code inside, so we can delete all of this. And now we are ready to code. So periodically make sure that you're saving your code. Let us look at the next set of instructions. You can see here, create the following variables. Item name, the second set of instructions says to create the following variables. So you need to know what item, so it gets saved in item name and it is of type string. Then the price of the item, discount percentage, and final price. So there are 4 variables. So these are the variable names and this is the data type. So item name will store a string data. Unit price will store a double data, right? So let us go and code that. String item name double unit price double discount percent double final price. So it's a good practice to define your variables on the top, but you can also do it as you need it as you code. It is also a good practice to initialize numbers. It's a good practice so that it doesn't have any garbage in it. So this is how you translate this piece of code, this piece of instruction number 2 to code. So I just showed you that. So let's go to number 3. So once we know that what variables we need, now our job is to get input from the user. So we don't want to assume the name of the item. We don't want to assume the price of the item. We don't want to assume the discount percentage. We want to ask people. So the way to ask, I am referring to it as prompt. So your program should say enter name of item. So that is a prompt. So it is displaying to the console. So this prompt, the way you would do this one is by doing a console.writeLine. So let us do the first prompt. First prompt says enter name of item. Enter name of item. So I have to display that in the console window. Where is the console window? The console window comes when you click on execute. So out here in this window, there should be a statement that says enter item name, and then the user should be able to enter that item here. So if your item name is apple, you should be able to enter that. If your item is a t-shirt, you should be able to enter that. So let us go console.writeLine enter item name. So this is one prompt. So when I say this, I should be able to read whatever is the data that is coming. I should be able to read the input. So for that we will say console.readLine, and that is the data. So this data has to get stored in item name. Item name. So these are the steps that is being mentioned here. Prompt the user to enter the following, enter name of item. Get the input data, store in item name variable. So these 3 lines is what we have done so far. So we have, this is the prompt. This is the input. Okay, now let's test this code. So you can see my console.writeLine produced this prompt. Okay, you can see that here it has produced a prompt, and now there is a blinking cursor, which is it is waiting for us to say what it is, that item that we are talking about. So let me say the item is a book, Alice in Wonderland. That's the book name. Okay, now this will get stored in item name, the variable item name. Okay, so that is how it works. Now let's complete the other inputs. Prompt the user to enter the following, enter price of item. Okay, so console.writeLine enter price of item. So this has to be inside quote, and then this should be enter name of item. Okay, so price of item is a little different. So when you do console.readLine, you are going to be reading the data that is going to be coming in as a number, and you are storing it in a string by default. So we have to do conversion. So we have to convert it. This has to get converted. This should be converted. This data we are receiving, price of item, we need it in as a number. So we use the conversion here. So what we do is convert dot to double, because that is our data type. You have to close this whole thing like that, and then you have to store it in unit price equal to. So the data you receive from the console has to be unwrapped and stored as an integer. So sorry, double. So that is why we are using the convert to double. So this is an essential step. And then let's do the last one. Console dot write line, enter discount percentage. So this is the prompt. Okay. And now again, because it is also going to be double, I'm just going to put it here and change this to discount price. So there are three inputs. If you see our document, input A, input B, input C. We have done all three. Sorry, this is incorrect. It's not tax percent, discount, percent variable. Okay. Now let's calculate the total price. Step 4. Final price equal to unit price minus discount price times unit price. So this is what we are supposed to do. The good thing is, because the way I've given it, you can actually copy it. Put a semicolon in the end. So this is the logic. Okay. So that is the formula. So we take unit price, and then we take this discount percentage and apply to the unit price, and then we subtract that. Now what are we supposed to do? So the next step is display the following as specified: name of item, unit price of item, discount percentage, and final price. So when I say this here next to it, the item name, it is like you want to like not just say name of item, you have to say what item it is, and that is stored in the variable. So you would say console dot write line so you say name of item, and then you could do, so this is called as concatenation. So you are attaching a variable name to a string. So this is one way of doing it. So there are also better ways of doing it, and I'll show you here. This is called as interpolation. Put curly bracket 0, and then outside you put a comma and say item name, sorry, unit price. So the advantage of this is the curly bracket item can be anywhere in the string. It doesn't have to be just at the end. And that is a big advantage in my opinion. The third way of doing it is called as is even more convenient. So one is called as you you put a dollar here. So you start the a dollar symbol before your string, and then here instead of doing this way, you could directly put unit price. So there is nothing needed on this corner. So there are so many different ways of doing the same thing. Of course, this is not unit price. Right here we want the discount. Oh, hold on. We want the final price. Final price of item. All these three methods are acceptable. The first one is the crudest of all. You just take a string and attach another item to it, and it has to be in the end of the string. The second one is a little better because you could embed it anywhere as long as you have the curly brackets. If you have multiple items to display, then you will go from 0, 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. And you will have them surrounded by curly brackets. You could put it anywhere. The last method is the easiest of all and more intuitive. Like in terms of, you can actually like see what is going to come there right away. There is no extra step needed. I really like that.